Good evening and welcome to Ignite News on 6 at 6. It's Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. I'm Rihanna Nikram. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. President Ali tells the National Two-Showers Council that healthcare in Region 1 has been transformed. The Guyana Defense Force is increasing its presence in remote border regions in response to ongoing Venezuelan aggression. The saw turning for the quarantine bridge connecting Guyana and Suriname is set to take place in the coming weeks. And Guyanese and West Indies cricketer Godakesh Moti has been named an official tourism brand ambassador for Guyana. President Dr. Irfan Ali says the government will continue making significant investments in healthcare nationwide with a strong focus on indigenous communities. Speaking at the opening of the National Two-Showers Council Conference at the Artichon Conference Center yesterday, the president highlighted ongoing improvements in areas like Berbice and Region 1. He also pledged continued support for human development, aiming to train more doctors and nurses from within these communities.
It was under Dr. Jagdeo presidency that we built one of the most modern ophthalmology centers in Berbice, not only for Guyana, but for citizens across this region. We did it without oil. And in 5 years, that facility was shut down. We had to come back and rebuild that facility. And today that facility is doing thousands of surgeries, not only for Guyana, but for the Caribbean region.
Regarding healthcare in Region 1, he said when the government took office in 2020, all neonates with complications were referred outside of Region 1, and less than 50% of necessary medical supplies were available at health facilities.
90% of all critical pregnancy, as I said, had to be referred. Today, in 2024, because of the investment we have made in healthcare in Region 1, we had 0 referrals out of the region. The investment in neonatal services, the investment in our health centers, we had 0. Between 2015 and 2020, more than 15% of the patients, even if they need extra and ultrasound sometimes, had to be medevaced out of the region. In 2024, because of the investment we made in healthcare in Region 1, less than 1% medevac was needed. This is the qualitative changes.
President Ali also pointed to the availability of drugs and medical supplies, which he noted have significantly improved over the last 4 years, with more than 95% availability when compared to the period of 2015 to 2019, where it was less than 30%.
Between the period 2020 and 2025, in Region 1 alone, we've invested in health care for your communities in more than 16 ATVs, 6 ambulances, pickups, minibuses, motorbikes, and more than 25 boats and engines. That is investment in healthcare to move patients, to move health workers alone in Region 1.
The president said Two-Showers should also be proud of these significant records as they were achieved under their leadership. As Guyana's oil and gas sector grows, labor shortage and inadequate skill sets remain a major concern for local private sector agents who are expected to play a key role in driving the country's economic growth. This concern was expressed by Richard Rambaran, executive member of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, during an interview with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation earlier this week. The need for an increased and upgraded workforce locally has been underscored on many occasions. Rambaran told the news agency that current activities in Guyana are so tremendous and transformative that the country lacks the manpower and skills to keep up with an oil industry that is not just massive in capacity, but moving at record-breaking pace.
What we have going on in Guyana is so tremendous and so transformative that a small and a tiny a small population and even a tinier labor force cannot support what we are being faced with.
He said that the local workforce is known for being hard workers and smart workers, but the demands of the industry can be overwhelming based on what is required and what is available.
The volume and the pace and the standards and the understanding of the international market and how international business is done is something that we, especially in the private sector, have had a challenge to come up to par with.
Several private sector players have pointed to the challenges facing the local labor market. In response to these concerns, the government has launched several initiatives, including the National Technical and Vocational Education and Training (TVET) policy 2025 to 2035. The Guyana Defense Force (GDF) continues to up its visibility in key areas within the country's remote regions as a response to Venezuelan aggression. As part of outreach activities to border communities, Chief of Defense Staff Brigadier Omar Khan conducted a series of visits to frontier communities, including Eteringbang, a key settlement in the Cayuni-Mazuruni region. Also visited was Arau, located at the base of the Pacarampa Mountain in Region 7. A GDF statement said that visits aim to strengthen ties with the residents and reaffirm the military's role in protecting national sovereignty. Brigadier Khan met with and facilitated open and meaningful conversations with the business community, soldiers stationed at the locations, and patriots. The Chief of Staff also met with Tushaos, local leaders, and elders, reaffirming the military's respect for the traditional custodians of the land. These engagements emphasize the importance of partnership, mutual respect, and shared responsibility in protecting Guyana's sovereignty. The visits also underscored the GDF's continued commitment to unity, visibility, and reassurance in the country's most remote regions, especially at a time when national solidarity is critical. As part of the outreach, the Chief of Staff toured local schools, engaging informally with students, teachers, and staff. These interactions reinforce the Defense Force's dedication to education and youth development. Venezuelan aggression continues to be a concern for all Guyanese. 3 attacks were launched against the GDF last week within a 24-hour period by armed men dressed in civilian clothing. No member of the GDF was hurt during the incident. Meanwhile, Guyana strongly condemned Venezuela's plans for an illegal election in the Essequibo region set for May 25th. Stay tuned, more Ignite news coming your way after this break.
We're for the brave, for tenacity. Here's to the up and at 'em types. We're for the crafters, the drafters, and the ones who clean up after. Here's to the dream makers and the risk takers, because we know what it takes. From mobility to high-speed internet to technology that makes it easy for your business. We're for brave, we're for business, and we're in this together. Bravo.
Welcome back to Ignite News. The sod-turning ceremony for the Quarantine Bridge linking Guyana and Suriname is now expected in the coming weeks. That's according to Suriname's President, Chandrika Prasad Santokhi. He was in Guyana on Monday for the opening of Guyshore Aggregate and Sands Inc., a subsidiary of Suriname's state-owned mining company, Grasalco. Santokhi had hoped to combine the Guyshore launch with the sod turning, but said final preparations for the ceremony needed more time. He emphasized the bridge remains a key project and said that sod turning should happen in weeks, not months. Chairman of the Suriname-Guyana Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Vishnu Durga, also underscored the bridge's urgency, calling it vital infrastructure and a top priority for both countries. Santokhi congratulated Grasalco and its partners on the opening of the Guyshore office, calling the venture a concrete step toward deeper regional integration under CARICOM. He also held bilateral talks with President Irfan Ali, reaffirming Suriname's commitment to economic cooperation with Guyana. Significant strides have been made in advancement of indigenous peoples' land rights in Guyana, according to Minister of Amerindian Affairs Pauline Sukai. She made the remarks while addressing Tushaos and other indigenous leaders during the opening ceremony of the National Tushaos Council Conference, hosted at the Artichon Conference Center yesterday.
Land rights have always been a priority for the People's Progressive Party civic government. While some unscrupulous persons may attempt to mislead the indigenous population on this issue, I remind you that both NGOs and the NTC are represented on the Oversight Committee for the Land Titling for land titling and on LCDS 2030 and the multi-stakeholder committee. Our government continues to actively engage in the land titling and demarcation processes. Our revenues also account for 10% of our population, currently owning 60.4% of Guyana land mass, being the second largest private landowner in our country.
Sukai also made reference to the Amerindian Act of 2006, which is currently being reviewed, noting that the process had been a smooth one. The Act aims to provide for the recognition and protection of the collective rights of Amerindian villages and communities, including the issuing of land.
The review process has been inclusive and transparent, founded on free and fair consent and broad stakeholder engagement.
Minister Sukai also noted that the government has been actively involved as far as including indigenous people as equal partners in climate change. A tragic accident on the Charity Public Road yesterday has claimed the life of 30-year-old motorcyclist Troy Singh. Police say Singh was heading east at a fast rate when he lost control of his motorcycle, CM6673. He collided with motor lorry GDD 5397, which was traveling west. Singh skidded on the road surface and collided with the front of the lorry. The incident happened around 2:25 p.m. Singh was rushed to the Charity Cottage Hospital with head injuries and multiple lacerations, but was pronounced dead shortly after. The lorry driver, a 47-year-old man from Charity Housing Scheme, is in police custody and assisting with investigation. We'll be right back with more Ignite News after these messages. Please stay with us.
Fuel it up and drive, super 95. Tune up, fuel it up and drive, super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Oil Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
You're watching Ignite News. Thanks for staying with us. Guyanese and West Indies cricketer Gudakesh Moti has been named an official tourism brand ambassador for Guyana. The announcement came today from the Guyana Tourism Authority in partnership with its management agency, Gravity Sports. Moti, known for his standout cricket career and strong local roots, will now help promote Guyana as a leading sustainable tourism destination. As ambassador, he'll appear in marketing campaigns, community events, and media engagements showcasing Guyana's rich culture, nature, and adventure. Tourism Director Carmel Bash says Moti reflects his true spirit of Guyana, proud, determined, and deeply connected to his heritage. We are honored to partner with him to showcase Guyana's diverse and authentic tourism experiences, Bash added. Moti's growing profile in cricket and his strong Guyanese identity make him a powerful advocate for sustainable tourism and national pride. Moti will also go on guided tours across the country to explore and experience Guyana's rich natural, cultural, and adventure tourism offerings. He's expected to share these experiences with audiences across the Caribbean and beyond. The partnership forms part of GTA's wider strategy to align sports, culture, and tourism, using high-profile figures to tell the story of Guyana as an eco-conscious, vibrant, and welcoming travel destination. Chairman of the National Tushaus Council, NTC, Derek John, has hailed the annual NTC Conference as effective means for Indigenous peoples dialogue. Addressing scores of leaders during the opening ceremony of the conference yesterday, John, who's also Tushao Morocco, urged appreciation be shown.
Lord, we want to have this opportunity. I want to ask you leaders to appreciate this unique opportunity that we as indigenous people experience here in Guyana. It's happening nowhere across the entire globe. Where we can sit and we can deliberate with His Excellency, our cabinet members, different sector agencies, and we can able to bring to the forefront His do to make an inquiry, and so that we can be able to continue to pursue the right and the development path that we are experiencing.
Johnson again is currently experiencing one of the most exciting periods in its history, with tremendous resources being poured into indigenous communities. He said he's had the opportunity to visit many hinterland communities and is amazed by improvements seen. John said this speaks volumes for the NTC, which is often accused of allowing organizations to dictate its affairs. He made it clear that the indigenous people have their own rights and are a determined people. This year's NTC Conference is being held from May 19 to the 23rd under the theme, Robust Governance for Sustainable Village Development. This vital gathering of village leaders provides a critical opportunity for genuine dialogue and collective decision-making on the most pressing issues affecting indigenous communities. A family outing at Splashmans Fun Park ended in tragedy on Sunday when 58-year-old Joseph Sahadio of Granville Park, BV, died in a jet ski collision. Police say Sahadio was operating one of two jet skis brought to the park by his family when he collided with another carrying his daughter and her friend. He reportedly struck his head and fell into the water. Family members pulled him to shore and rushed him to the Diamond Diagnostic Center, where he was pronounced dead. Injuries were seen on his head and face. The investigation is ongoing and a post-mortem is expected. Ignite News will be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Ignite News on 6 at 6. In international news, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced yesterday that it is cutting $60 million in federal grants to Harvard University, accusing the school of failing to address anti-Semitic harassment and racial discrimination on campus. The move is part of a broader push by the Trump administration, which has frozen or terminated nearly $3 billion in funding to Harvard in recent weeks. President Trump has vowed to overhaul what he calls a radical left academic system, influenced by anti-American and Marxist ideologies. Officials pointed to incidents tied to last year's pro-Palestinian protests and claimed the university continues to use race and ethnicity in admissions decisions. Harvard did not immediately comment on the announcement. The university has previously said it cannot fully absorb the cost of frozen grants and is working to support affected researchers. It is also suing the federal government over the funding cuts. Earlier this month, Harvard settled a lawsuit filed by Orthodox Jewish students who claimed the university ignored anti-Semitism. That came months after Harvard pledged new protections for Jewish students following two other legal complaints. Joe Biden's announcement that he's been diagnosed with prostate cancer has reignited questions about the former U.S. president's health during his time in office. In a statement on Sunday, Biden's office said the 82-year-old received the diagnosis on Friday after consulting a doctor due to urinary symptoms. Some medical experts have expressed surprise that the aggressive form of cancer, which has now spread to his bones, had not been detected earlier. Others note that cancers can sometimes progress rapidly without showing symptoms, and that men over 70 are not routinely screened. President Donald Trump told reporters on Monday that Biden should have been more transparent with the public, implying without evidence that the diagnosis may have been concealed.
I think it's very sad, actually. I'm surprised that it wasn't, the public wasn't notified a long time ago, because to get to stage 9, that's a long time. I just had my physical. You saw that. You saw the results of that particular test. I think that test is standard to pretty much anybody getting a physical, good physical. When you take tests, medical, as a male, that test is very standard. I don't know if it's given to everybody, but it's given just about. And it takes a long time to get to that situation. Now, I think, to get to a stage 9.
Biden has not yet responded to Trump's comments, which come amid reports suggesting his aides sought to downplay or hide other worsening health conditions before the 2024 election. Finally, in sports, England will hand a test debut to Essex bowler Sam Cooke in this week's 4-day match against Zimbabwe at Trent Bridge. Head coach Brendan McCullum confirmed the 27-year-old's inclusion as part of an inexperienced bowling lineup. Cooke joins Gus Atkinson, Josh Tongue, and spinner Shoaib Bashir, none of whom have more than 13 test caps between them. This is England's least experienced pace attack in over 2 decades. Durham's Matthew Potts and Somerset batter James Rue have been left out of the 13-man squad. Zach Crawley remains as opener, while Ollie Pope returns to number 3. Jamie Smith is back behind the stumps after paternity leave. The match marks Zimbabwe's first test on English soil since 2003. Cooke's selection is seen as a reward for his outstanding county championship form. His 227 wickets over the past 5 seasons are the most by any seamer, and he averages just under 20 in first-class cricket. Liverpool forward Sari Holland is back in the Wales squad for the final Nations League group matches, just weeks after fears she might miss Euro 2025. Holland, 27, was stretchered off during April's loss to Denmark, but scans later showed the leg injury wasn't as serious as first thought. She returned to action for Liverpool later that month. Wales manager Ryan Wilkinson has named Holland in a 26-player squad for the upcoming clashes with Denmark and Italy. Veterans Jesh Fishlock and Kaylee Barton also return after injuries, but goalkeeper Laura O'Sullivan-Jones misses out with a torn ACL, ruling her out of the Euros in July. Wales face Denmark on May 30th and hosts Italy in Swansea 4 days later. And that's all for this edition of Ignite News on 6 at 6. For more stories, visit ignitenews.com or follow us on social media. Thanks for watching. I'm Rihanna Nikram. See you tomorrow for more Ignite News.